Tell us what you most remember about Zanuck.
Well, when you talk about the polo mallet, he would walk up.
Natalie Wood and Robert Wagner had the kind of love story Hollywood could never stop selling. They fell in love under the glare of movie cameras, divorced, remarried, and somehow kept finding their way back to each other. To the world, they were proof that some romances were destined, but behind the magazine covers and fairy tale headlines were secrets, betrayals, and questions that never fully disappeared. Then, on a cold night off Catalina Island, Natalie Woods was gone. The official explanation seemed straightforward, but witnesses, investigators, and even those closest to the case would spend decades questioning what really happened during her final hours. Now, after years of silence, hidden details from that night are painting a far darker picture. And what they reveal could change the way we understand one of Hollywood's most haunting mysteries, the Hollywood Golden Couple. Natalie Wood first crossed paths with Robert Wagner on the 20th Century Fox studio lot when she was just 10 years old and he was 18. He brushed past her in a studio hallway, a handsome young actor with a future ahead of him. She turned to watch him walk away, and then she turned to her mother with a declaration that would prove to be prophetic. She stated that she was going to marry him when she grew up. The words were innocent, the kind of thing a young girl might say about a movie star. But Natalie Wood was not the kind of person who forgot what she wanted. In 1956, Natalie Wood's studio arranged a promotional date for her 18th birthday with Robert Wagner, who was 26 and a rising 20th Century Fox contract star. The date was supposed to be a publicity stunt, a way to generate photographs and headlines for the young actress who had just earned an Academy Award nomination for Rebel Without a Cause alongside James Dean. But the encounter ignited something real. On July 20th, 1956, her 18th birthday, Wagner escorted her to the screening of The Mountain. The next morning, he sent flowers and a note, promising that he would see her again. The attraction was immediate and undeniable. What started as a studio publicity exercise became a fast-moving Hollywood romance. At the time of their first date, Natalie Wood was already an established Hollywood icon. She had been acting since childhood, appearing in the Christmas classic Miracle on 34th Street at age 9. By 18, she had successfully made the transition from child star to serious adult actress. Her performance in Rebel Without a Cause had earned her an Academy Award nomination, and she was considered one of the most promising young actresses in Hollywood. Robert Wagner was no slouch either. He had cemented his status as a major studio heartthrob, starring in box office hits like A Kiss Before Dying and Prince Valiant. His square-jawed good looks and easy charm made him a favorite of the studio system. Together, they were a match made in Hollywood heaven. After a year of highly publicized dating, the couple married on December 28, 1957, in Scottsdale, Arizona. The ceremony was deliberately held away from the chaotic Hollywood media glare, a small, intimate affair at the Scottsdale United Methodist Church. The wedding was still covered extensively by the press, who celebrated it as the glittering union of the 20th century. Natalie was 19, Robert was 27. They were young, beautiful, and deeply in love. The photographs from that day show them looking at each other with the kind of adoration that photographers cannot fake. As newlyweds, they did not have any children during this union. They were focused on their careers and each other. They quickly bought a large Beverly Hills mansion on Beverly Drive, a $150,000 home that was a statement of their success. They became the definitive media-proclaimed golden couple of the late 1950s, the kind of pair that made other celebrities jealous and fans dream of finding the same kind of love. Studio publicists continuously capitalized on their marriage. They made regular glamorous appearances at major film premieres and Oscars after-parties and were perpetually featured on the covers of major movie fan magazines. They were everywhere, and they seemed to have everything. But behind the glossy magazine covers and the red carpet smiles, the reality was more complicated. Both were living on the edge financially, despite their success. Wagner was being overshadowed by new male leads like Marlon Brando and Paul Newman. Wood was placed on a 14-month suspension with Warner Brothers for refusing to do a movie in England. The pressures of fame, money, and career were already beginning to take their toll. The fairy tale marriage that had captured the nation's heart was about to show its first cracks. The couple who had seemed so perfect together would separate after just 4 years of marriage. The divorce that followed was painful, but it was not the end of their story. The first fracture. By late 1960, the couple began facing immense career friction that tested the foundation of their marriage. Wood's stardom was skyrocketing as she transitioned into mature roles that showcased her range as a dramatic actress. She was no longer the child star of Miracle on 34th Street. She was a serious Academy Award-nominated actress who was being offered the kinds of roles that actresses dreamed about. Wagner's studio contract with 20th Century Fox, on the other hand, was winding down. The roles that had once come easily were drying up. The financial and emotional imbalance in the household was growing, and neither of them knew how to fix it. In June of 1961, an unspoken, massive rupture occurred at their Beverly Hills home. The details of what happened have been pieced together over the years from interviews with those closest to the couple. Natalie Woods' sister, Lana Wood, and multiple close friends later stated that Wood returned to her parents' house in total hysterics after discovering Wagner in a highly compromising situation with another man. The other man was later identified as David Cavendish, Wagner's English butler. According to biographer Suzanne Finstad, who wrote the exhaustive biography Natasha, the biography of Natalie Wood, Wood awakened one night to find her husband missing from their bed. She went searching for him and found him in a compromising position with Cavendish. The discovery sent Wood into a spiral of hysteria. She smashed a crystal glass in her hand, hurting herself, and fled the house in her nightgown. The injured, distraught actress made her way to a neighbor's home, where she called her mother to come pick her up. Her sister Lana, who was 15 at the time, recalled seeing Natalie arrive at their parents' house in a state of complete collapse. Lana described her sister as bleeding and absolutely hysterically crying, a complete mess that she had never seen before. Following the immediate emotional breakdown from that weekend, Wood's devastation reached a terrifying peak. According to multiple sources, including Finstad's biography, Wood attempted something terrible due to her mental health struggles. This resulted in a coma, and she had to have her stomach pumped at the hospital. To fiercely shield Wagner's public image and Hollywood career from destruction, the incident was completely buried. The public was never told what Wood had done. The press was never given the full story of what had caused the breakdown. The official narrative, whatever it was carefully constructed to protect the studio's investment in both actors. The couple officially separated in August 1961. On April 17, 1962, Wood filed a formal divorce lawsuit in a Santa Monica court, legally citing mental cruelties as the sole statutory cause for the dissolution. The term was vague, a catch-all phrase that covered whatever the lawyers wanted it to cover. The public, however, was fed a different story. The general public and entertainment tabloids assumed the divorce was caused entirely by Wood's highly publicized on-screen chemistry and rumored offset romance with her Splendor in the Grass co-star, Warren Beatty. The rumors were salacious and easy to believe. A beautiful young actress falling for her handsome co-star. It was a story that sold magazines and made perfect sense to the gossip columnists. But the Warren Beatty narrative was a lie. Wood deliberately let the false rumors stand to protect her ex-husband. Wagner's career would have been destroyed if the true nature of his infidelity had come out. And Wood knew it. She was still in love with him, even as she was divorcing him. She took the public blame for the failure of their marriage, rather than let the world know what she had discovered in their Beverly Hills home. The sacrifice was immense, and it was kept secret for decades. The divorce was finalized on April 27, 1962. The first marriage of Robert Wagner and Natalie Wood was over. Wood went on to marry British producer Richard Gregson, and Wagner continued his acting career. But the story of their relationship was far from finished. The wounds of the first separation never fully healed, and the bond between them was too strong to be broken by a single act of betrayal. They would find their way back to each other, remarry, and try again. But the second chance would end in tragedy, and the secrets of that night would remain hidden for decades. The interim years and second marriage. Following their April 1962 divorce, both actors moved on to other marriages and built new lives apart from each other. Wood married British producer Richard Gregson in 1969 and gave birth to her first child, a daughter named Natasha, in 1970. Wagner married actress Marion Marshall in 1963, fathering a daughter named Katie, and also helped raise Marshall's two sons from a previous marriage. On the surface, both had found happiness with new partners, but the connection between Wagner and Wood had never truly been severed. In August of 1971, Wood discovered that her husband, Richard Gregson, was having an affair with her secretary. The betrayal was devastating. She filed for divorce immediately, and the marriage that had produced her only child was over. Months later, at a Hollywood party, an estranged Wood and a recently divorced Wagner crossed paths again. According to biographer Suzanne Finstad, the sight of each other that night was all it took. The old feelings came rushing back, and within weeks, they were inseparable. On July 16, 1972, just 3 months after Wood's divorce from Gregson was finalized, they remarried. The ceremony took place aboard a boat named the Rambling Rose in Paradise Cove, California, a fitting location for a couple whose love story had always been tied to the water. They spent their second honeymoon on Catalina Island, the same island where their story would one day end in tragedy. In an essay written during their time apart, Wood revealed that the happiest era of their first marriage ironically took place on Wagner's original yacht, the My Other Lady. The boat was their sanctuary, a floating escape from the pressures of Hollywood and the demands of their studio contracts. Wagner taught her everything she knew about the water. He showed her how to manage marine radios, how to handle mooring lines, how to read radar systems, and how to properly wear life jackets during their frequent weekend trips to Catalina Island. The yacht was where they felt most like themselves, away from the cameras, away from the public, away from the expectations that came with being Hollywood's golden couple. She wrote about those weekends with a tenderness that suggested they were the foundation of their love. But even in those happy times, there were signs that the water was not entirely safe for her. In her essay, Wood detailed a chilling, prophetic incident that occurred in January of 1960. The couple was returning from Catalina during a freezing winter trip. The weather was cold and unforgiving. As they approached the dock, Wood tried to throw a mooring line to secure the boat. She lost her balance, slipped, and fell directly into the ocean. The water was frigid, and the shock was immediate. Wagner had to physically fish her out of the water, pulling her back onto the boat and wrapping her in blankets to warm her. The incident was frightening in the moment, but it also solidified her intense fear of deep, open water. That fear would stay with her for the rest of her life. The irony of their love for the water and her phobia of it was never lost on those who knew them. They spent years sailing together, spending weekends on their boat, and she never stopped being afraid. The couple combined their households. Wagner welcomed Wood's daughter Natasha, becoming a stepfather to the young girl. In 1974, they welcomed their only biological child together, a daughter named Courtney. The blended family was complete, and for a few years, the Wagners seemed to have found the happiness that had eluded them during their first marriage. Professionally, both actors flourished during this second chapter. Wood won a Golden Globe for her role in the television miniseries From Here to Eternity. Wagner found massive television success starring in Heart to Heart, 1979 to 1984, a series that made him a household name all over again. They had the careers, the family, and the love that they had always wanted. But by 1981, severe strain emerged. Wood began filming the movie Brainstorm with actor Christopher Walken, a sci-fi thriller about a device that records human experiences. The role required long hours and intense emotional preparation. Wood and Walken developed a close professional relationship that made Wagner intensely jealous. He later admitted in his memoir that he felt his wife was being emotionally unfaithful to him on the set. The tension would come to a head on the night of November 28, 1981, aboard a yacht named the Splendor, anchored off the coast of Catalina Island. The boat was a gift that Wood had given Wagner, named to honor her conquering of a lifelong fear of water while filming Splendor in the Grass. On that night, the cast of the tragedy was complete. Robert Wagner, Natalie Woods, Christopher Walken, and the yacht's captain, Dennis Davern. The events that unfolded on that boat would end in a tragedy that has never been fully explained. What happened next would become one of Hollywood's greatest unsolved mysteries. The investigation, the autopsy, and the decades of speculation that followed would ultimately force Robert Wagner to confront questions he had spent years trying to avoid. The tragic night Natalie Woods died. Over the Thanksgiving holiday weekend of November 1981, Wood and Wagner invited Christopher Walken to join them on their 60-foot luxury yacht, the Splendor, captained by Dennis Davern. The trip was supposed to be a relaxing getaway, a chance for Wood to celebrate the completion of Brainstorm with her co-star and her husband. Instead, it would become a nightmare. On the night of November 28, 1981, the group dined at Doug's Harbor Reef restaurant on Catalina Island. Restaurant staff later noted that all three were drinking heavily and that there was a palpable, uncomfortable tension between Wagner and Walken. The alcohol flowed freely. The conversation grew heated. The evening that should have been a celebration was becoming something else entirely. But the evening at the restaurant was not just tense. It was alarming enough that a complete stranger felt compelled to intervene. Don Whiting, the manager of the restaurant, watched the trio carefully as they drank and argued through their meal. He had seen plenty of celebrities pass through his establishment over the years, but something about this particular group made him uneasy. The arguments were not just loud, they were aggressive, volatile, and escalating in a way that suggested they might not stop when the meal was over. Whiting later became a critical witness in the investigation. He testified to police that he was so deeply concerned by what he observed that he took action. He personally called a local taxi boat operator and arranged for a safe ride back to the Splendor for the group. He did not want them navigating the dark, choppy waters of the harbor in a small dinghy while clearly intoxicated and still arguing. The rain was coming down. The wind was picking up. The conditions were dangerous, and the three celebrities seemed completely oblivious to the risk. Whiting's intervention was a clear sign that the evening had already gone dangerously wrong. A restaurant manager had felt the need to step in and protect a group of strangers from themselves. He had seen enough to know that something bad was brewing. His testimony would later become a key piece of the puzzle, a reminder that the events of that night did not begin on the yacht. They began on land, under the fluorescent lights of a restaurant, in full view of a man who recognized danger when he saw it. Back on board the yacht, the tension exploded. An intense three-way argument broke out among Natalie Wood, Robert Wagner, and Christopher Walken. Wagner exploded in rage, accusing Walken of trying to interfere with Wood's life and career. The confrontation escalated to the point where Wagner furiously smashed a wine bottle on a table. At that point, Wood, horrified and disgusted, left the main cabin to go to bed. According to the official timeline, Natalie Wood went completely missing from the boat around 11 o'clock that night. The inflatable rubber dinghy attached to the yacht, named the Valiant, was also noticed missing from its tether. The assumption was that Wood had taken the dinghy to shore, or perhaps she had fallen in while trying to secure it, but no one knew for sure. Despite realizing Wood was missing, Wagner did not immediately alert rescue teams. A ship-to-shore call was made to a local harbor at 1:30 in the morning to look for a missing dinghy. The official United States Coast Guard rescue teams were not formally notified until 3:30 in the morning, nearly 4.5 hours after she disappeared. The delay has been a source of intense speculation for decades. What happened during those lost hours? Why did Wagner wait so long to call for help? At approximately 8 o'clock in the morning on November 29, 1981, Wood's lifeless body was found in the Pacific Ocean, roughly 1 mile away from the yacht. She was wearing a nightgown, socks, and a heavy down jacket. The jacket, soaked through with seawater, would have weighed 30 to 40 pounds, pulling her down and making it impossible for her to keep her body above water. Her blood alcohol level was 0.14%. Nearly twice the legal limit for driving at the time. She also had motion sickness and some other medication in her system, which likely increased her level of intoxication. The official autopsy, performed by the legendary coroner to the stars, Dr. Thomas Noguchi, listed the cause of death as accidental drowning. But the report also noted numerous bruises on Wood's legs and arms, as well as abrasions on the left side of her face. A supplemental coroner's report released in 2012 would later reveal that the bruises and scratches were consistent with having occurred before she entered the water, not as a result of a fall. The report changed the manner of death from accidental to undetermined. The bruises on her arms, wrists, and face suggested that something had happened on that yacht before Wood ended up in the water. Wood was buried on December 2, 1981, at Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery in Los Angeles. The funeral was attended by prominent Hollywood royalty, and a visibly distraught Wagner served as a pallbearer. The world mourned the loss of one of its brightest stars, but the questions about what really happened that night would not go away. For years, the official story was that Wood had slipped while trying to secure the dinghy and fallen into the water, resulting in a deadly accident. But the bruises on her body, the delayed rescue call, and the accounts of the violent argument that night raised doubts. The case was reopened in 2011, and Wagner was named a person of interest. He denied any involvement, but the cloud of suspicion has followed him for more than 4 decades. Now we finally know what Robert Wagner revealed about what happened on the boat that night. What he has admitted is expected to reshape the public's understanding of one of Hollywood's greatest mysteries. Forensic revelations and what Robert admitted. The original autopsy in 1981, led by Chief Medical Examiner Thomas Noguchi, ruled the death an accidental drowning combined with hypothermia. He theorized that Wood, who was heavily intoxicated with a blood alcohol level of 0.14%, slipped on the swim step while trying to tie down the loose rubber dinghy. The bruises on her body, he concluded, were likely sustained during the tragedy. But family members immediately challenged the accidental dinghy theory. Wood had a deep, well-documented phobia of dark, open water. She could not swim and had been terrified of the ocean since childhood, a fear that had been exacerbated by a near-drowning experience while filming a movie years earlier. The idea that she would attempt to operate a rubber dinghy alone in the middle of a rainy night while heavily intoxicated and wearing a heavy down jacket and nightgown seemed highly improbable to those who knew her best. It simply did not fit with who she was. In November of 2011, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department officially reopened the investigation. The catalyst for the reopening was the boat's captain, Dennis Davern, who publicly admitted that he had lied to police during the initial inquiry in 1981. Davern stated that Wagner had actively isolated Wood during the fight and had actively forbidden the captain from turning on searchlights or calling the Coast Guard when she first went missing. The delay in calling for help, which had always been a source of suspicion, was now being explained as a deliberate act. In 2012, the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office officially amended Wood's death certificate, changing the cause of death from accidental drowning to drowning and other undetermined factors. The change was significant. It acknowledged that the circumstances surrounding Wood's death were not clearly established and that there were factors that could not be explained by a simple accident. In January of 2013, a 10-page addendum to the autopsy report was released, providing further troubling details. The supplement noted that bruises, especially in the upper extremities, appeared fresh and could have occurred before Wood entered the water. The report stated that the location of the bruises, the multiplicity of the bruises, and the lack of severe trauma or facial bruising supported the conclusion that the bruising had occurred prior to her entry into the water. The report detailed extensive unexplained bruising on Wood's arms, wrists, knees, and neck that could not be explained by a simple fall into the water. It strongly hinted at something that resulted from a physical confrontation, though it stopped short of proving it. Retired Detective Ralph Hernandez, who worked on the case, later told CBS's 48 Hours that Wood looked like a victim. In 2018, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department upgraded Wagner's status to a person of interest. Investigators cited new eyewitness accounts from nearby boats that reported hearing a man and a woman screaming at each other on the back of the Splendor, right before the yelling abruptly stopped. Lieutenant John Corina of the LASD told CBS that Wagner was a person of interest now because he was the last person to be with Natalie before she disappeared. Throughout the entire reopen process, Wagner strictly refused to speak to detectives. He did not sit for interviews. He did not answer their questions. He maintained that he had already told investigators everything he knew in 1981, and he had nothing to add. In May of 2022, Lieutenant Hugo Reinaga, head of the LASD Homicide Bureau, announced that all investigative leads had been completely exhausted. Robert Wagner was officially cleared of his person of interest status because no new actionable evidence could link him directly to a crime. However, the department explicitly stated that the investigation remains an open, unsolved cold case. If additional leads surface in the future, which have not already been investigated, the case will be reassigned to a detective to investigate the new leads. The case will remain open as long as Robert Wagner is alive. According to a recent insider report, Robert Wagner finally began to open up. He reportedly confided in his wife, Jill St. John, about the details of Natalie Woods' death, a topic he has avoided discussing for decades. An insider revealed that the burden has grown too heavy to carry alone with age, so he has been confiding in his current wife about his side of the fatal tale. The insider told the National Enquirer that Robert has spent decades refusing to discuss that night in any meaningful detail with anyone. Jill is the one exception. She is the only person he trusts completely. There are things he has told Jill that he has never shared with anyone else and never intends to. In a lot of ways, she has been like a therapist for Robert, and she has become the keeper of his deepest secrets. What he has confided to her includes details he has never shared with anyone else. The revelations are expected to reshape the public's understanding of one of Hollywood's greatest mysteries. For more than 40 years, Robert Wagner has carried the weight of that night. He has been accused, investigated, and cleared. He has watched Natalie Woods' death become a subject of endless speculation and conspiracy theories. Whether the world believes him is another question. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click on the next video on your screen, like, and subscribe to our channel for more updates.